Killed this shit again, bro.
So softly lighting up the night.
Floating, wavy like the ocean. My physical emotions show my spirit as an omen. I'm in motion like the seven seas. Connect with men and them who think like Elohim. My flow warm like a sunbeam. My third eye shine red like the waters in your bloodstream. Young king, my tongue shine without a tongue ring. My talking bling bling like it's nothing. Glowing like slick brick chains at its apex. You basic if you want love without the hatred. It's dangerous, having faith amongst the faithless. Just stay in tune with the ancient and amens. Prayers to the dead and those that deserve killing. Your life is a gift, your presence is Thanksgiving. And to the wise, every day is a holiday. And to my enemies, every day's a borrowed one. Black Storm. Peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Black Storm. Happy Sunday. Know a lot of people are watching football, enjoying their Sunday, getting ready for work tomorrow. I want to pop in, get this new this full moon in Cancer video out. But first and foremost, I just want to say what's up to everybody. Hope you're doing well. Hope your family's well. Hope you're keeping your children and their loved ones, safe and as sound as you can. And I hope you're reaching out to those that you love, checking on them, seeing how they're doing during these winter months. This could be a very depressing time. There's a lot going on in the world right now, as we know, with the fires, the wars overseas, and these deep freezes in the East Coast, snow in Atlanta, and deep freezes in Texas, and fires on the West Coast, also continuing to send out peace, power, and prosperity to those out there in California. That could be a very tense and anxiety-inducing situation. So, my empathy definitely goes out to those there. We had a fire on Saturday here in the Bronx, New York, and it was on a block that I lived on, Wallace Avenue. I lived on Wallace Avenue not too long ago. I'd probably say maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, I lived on Wallace Avenue. So, that definitely hit close to home and, definitely brought me more, connected me more to the situation as well, just thinking about it and that, I could have been caught in that situation myself. So let's get things started. All right. Welcome again. All right. You are now tuned in. All right. Thank you for taking your time to be here with me. So hopefully the volume's here. All right. If you are here and you drop in, don't hesitate to leave a comment. Let me know where you're coming from. All right. And, if I see it, I will do my best to try to post it. All right. So let's get started. So the first things first. So over the last weekend, I went and saw Mufasa, right? And, you may be thinking, well, this is supposed to be a full moon and Cancer video. Like, why am I even bringing up Mufasa? Well, Cancer, right, as we'll see very soon, is a water deity. And Cancer being a water deity is, or being Cancer being related to water, right? Cancer sign is the moon, right? So Cancer is ruled by the moon. So when you think of Cancer, you could think of the moon. The moon is at its strongest resonance in the sign of Cancer, right? But when you're talking about water, the moon pulls water. It pulls the tides. It pulls water from the physical body the same way it's pulling water from the ocean. So tonight, the next couple of days, you may have trouble sleeping. You may not sleep the way you normally would, or vice versa, depending on your physical construction, right? You may be sleeping more than ever, right? You may, for instance, like Saturday, I slept a lot more than I normally do. I took like 3 naps in one day, right? So really depends on what you've been going through. Your body will tell you what it needs and what it doesn't need, right? But nevertheless, right, the moon is still mooning, right? It's still pulling the water from your body. So fast forward to me seeing Mufasa, right? So in the beginning, and I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but in the beginning of the movie Mufasa, he uh, was a cub, right, with his parents. And fast forward, there was a flood, and he got caught in a flood. So long story short, he got separated from his parents in the flood. And as he got separated from his parents in the flood, he ended up being with another pride or another set of lions, right? So first he got there, the Papa lion. So the first who saved him was Taka, who ended up being the antagonist of the movie, right? If you saw the second Lion King, shouldn't be much of a spoiler. You should figure this out the first time you see him that this is Scar, right? But his name is Taka in the movie. So Taka saves him, right? Brings him in to the fold. The father wants nothing to do with him, says he's a stray. He has to go through a challenge in order to make himself in order to stay and live amongst the pride. So eventually, Mufasa wins the race, right? And the father is like, all right, you're going to stay amongst the woman, right? Now, the lion's name was Eshe, right? AKA Ashe, right? Ashe, Eshe, right? The vowels are, and you could, what's the word for the vowel? Synonymous, right? You could play with them and interchange them. So Eshe is Ashe. That's the symbolism. So the mother was, so he was like, he had a son though, and the son was Scar. The son was Taka. And the son, and he was like, yo, the son, you're my son. You're going to be king next. So I don't want you around Mufasa, right? Let Mufasa stay with the women. So because Mufasa was with the women, he learned how to hunt. And he became in tune with his intuitive abilities, right? So he had extrasensory perception, so to speak. He was able to hear when certain antelope were far, far away, and he could tell when caribou were certain far, far away. He could even sense, right, the smell of his distant family far, far away. Although it was slight, he could sense it in the wind. That's because he was being nurtured under Eshe or nurtured under his Ashe, right? So the metaphor of the movie really starting, and that's the beginning of the movie, is about you nurturing your spiritual power, right? And you doing the work to learn and develop your spiritual power. Now, vice versa, right? Taka slash Scar, Taka, his father was like, well, you're going to be king. You don't need to learn how to hunt. Even though Taka wanted to learn, he was like, you don't need to learn how to hunt. And he was like, this is what you need to learn how to do. And the father just was like, sleep. You know what I'm saying? Let the women hunt. We sleep and relax so we can conserve our energy for when there's a threat, right? Basically, for the nutshell, he was relying simply on the fact that he had royal blood, that Taka was going to be able to do whatever he wanted to do because he had royal blood. But the royal blood wasn't enough. And when I saw it, it reminded me of people that are like, you know what I'm saying, simply think that because they have.
So melanin is midi-chlorians and shit.
Right? And because they have that.
So melanin is midi-chlorians and shit.
That they're going to be able to, that they're 9-ether, that, they're, high vibration and, they have, all these things we say about melanin and the brilliance of melanin and all those things. Great. But if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, right? If you don't train it, if you don't nurture it, if you don't harness it, right? Which is what Mufasa was doing, right? If you don't harness that Ashe, if you don't harness that spirit, if you don't develop that spirit, then you'll never become a true king. So what happened was there was a challenge, right? And I'm not going to spoil the movie. Like I said, I'm just going to stop at right here where I'm going. What happened was there was a challenge where his mother, Taka's mother, was Eshe or Ashe. And they were threatened by some white lions. I love this movie, by the way. I love the way that they depicted everything because, Europeans aren't really going to be able to tell that the white lions was actually a symbolic representation of, what I'm saying, of the cracker. And all white people aren't crackers. White people know who crackers are amongst white people, right? But it was a representation of the cracker, the white lions. And basically, the white lions came, long story short, threatened the mother, right? Threatened Taka's mother, which was Mufasa's mentor. And Mufasa stepped up, right? Because he was already a hunter. He was ready. He was war ready, right? He had courage. He had heart. He developed heart through hunting, through developing his spirit, right? Through nurturing his hunter ability, through nurturing his courage. And once that happened, Taka ran, though, right? And Taka is actually Eshe's son, but Taka ran. But Mufasa stayed and fought, right? And then that's what's kind of sparked everything and sparked the whole journey that continued the movie, right? But essentially, it is about nurturing or developing the hidden powers that you have within your soul. And this is what cancer season is really all about, right? Emotional intelligence and understanding the power of emotions, energy and motion, which is really spirit, right? Energy and emotion is really spirit. It's really spiritual power. And one thing they always say about melanated people is that we're emotional people, right? That we can't manage our emotions, that we don't know how to handle our emotions, which is not true, right? But that's a stigma that they put on us. And if you look at popular media, the way we're portrayed, right? I mean, there's evidence to support that claim, right? Based on the way the media is presented about us. There's a lot of evidence to support that claim. So what we need to do and understand is that self-mastery is the goal, right? Just being born a certain color or coming from a certain culture or having a certain amount of money, or you're not in 2025, you're not safe, and there's no security in the external world only. There's no security in the external masculine energy, right? Which is the external. There's no security there. The true security is going to be how you are able to master and handle your emotions, right? Especially when things get critical. Are you going to be courageous, or are you going to be weak? Are you going to be ready to run, or are you going to be able to fight? Do you have strategy? Are you developing your spiritual abilities during times of peace? Are you meditating, right? Or are you going to cower, right? And wait. Are you being proactive, or are you being reactive? For instance, you see all these fires that are happening in California, right? Do you have a fire hydrant? Do you have a small fire hydrant for $10? Do you have a big fire hydrant for $20? Do you have an industrial fire hydrant if you have a big house for whatever, $20, $40, $50, whatever it costs, right? But you might have a whole bar full of liquor, right? You might have a whole half ounce of weed, right? Kitchen may be stocked with all type of bullshit. But do you have these things now that you saw this happen, and it may not happen to you, have happened to you? Are you prepared, right? This is you nurturing the spirit and mastering your emotions so that you're not just reactive, but you're proactive, right? So just wanted to bring that up. I thought that was very, very valuable. And a way to really look at life from a place of non-entitlement, non-privilege, but a place of self-development and being on your pivot. So you're prepared no matter what happens, especially during times of peace, that you're prepared for war. So let's get into Cancer a little bit. So Cancer, let me shout out y'all that are here. What's up, Eileen? Shout out to Sly. Shout out to True the 8. All right. Peace and blessings to everyone here. What's up? What's up? What's up? All right. So let's get into this Cancer piece. Now, Cancer is symbol is the crab. The ruling planet is the moon. It's ruled by the fourth house. The element is water. It is cardinal, and the key word is feeling. Now, cardinal moon, it just means that it sets off a new season, right? When Cancer season happens, it is usually the summer solstice. So you have the winter solstice, which is the longest night, right? Which we just had 12/21/2024, right? That starts off the winter solstice. Then we're going to have the summer solstice, June 21st, 2025, right? That's going to be the longest day, okay? Which kicks off the summer. As most of you know, June 21st kicks off the summer. It's kicked off with the summer solstice. So the energy of Cancer always starts with the summer solstice, and it deals with feeling. With a strong amount of heat, right? Emotional energy, that is how you feel, okay? In fact, all of your senses, right? From hearing, taste, uh, touch, smell, what hearing, taste, touch, smell, sight, all have to do with some form of touch or some sort of feeling, right? It's all really touching in order for you to connect to this third dimensional reality. Okay. So it's very important that we know what we're interacting with and how we're interacting with it. Right. So it says Cancerians are nurturing and protective of others. Their ruling planet is the moon, and they tend to be moody with constantly changing emotions. They also are likely to be security conscious and highly value their home life. They may appear passive and tend to rely on their feelings to make decisions. They are subtle rather than direct. Okay. So whenever you see the moon in any sort of spiritual symbolism, you automatically know that has to do with internal feminine energy, all right, receptive energy. Okay, the moon is a receiver of energy, all right. It basically, the moonlight is just reflecting sunlight. This is why if you use the tarot, right, the moon card could also be a card of illusions, right? Because the moon doesn't produce any of its own light, right? It gets light from the sun, and it just reflects light of the sun, which is what a full moon does. It's reflecting light off the sun onto the earth. So the aspect of moonlight is the light that you're reflecting here on the earth in three-dimensional reality based on the light that you are conjuring yourself, right? Based on the light, the information that you're taking in, right? The people that you're around, the family members that you interact with, the people you socialize with, information you read, the YouTube channels you watch, the things you consume on social media, right? All these are forms of light. The food that you eat, the type of food that you eat, all these things are forms of light, right? So that's just like your sun and your zodiac sign, that is your conscious mind. And the moon is your subconscious, right? That leads to the water element, right? So the subconscious is always going to be feminine. So Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. Cancer, it deals with protection, it deals with love, it deals with care, it deals with family. All right. So right now, what's happening with these fires in California, right? This is a situation, right, where families are going through it, right? Where people need care, where people need concern, where people need love, right? This is what's happening. Cancer, deals with nurturing, and it also deals with the subconscious mind. But there are also negative aspects to Cancer, which are, being oversensitive, uh, being pessimistic, and also, being manipulative with people's emotions, right? We know that with church, right? Church is one of the ways where they manipulate your emotion, get you all emotional, play that keyboard, the organ to stir your organs, right? Get you in a frenzy so that your logical mind is occupied because now the blood is going from your brain to your body because you're an emotional wreck, right? So to speak, right? And you feel like you're being inspired, and the next thing they do is they pass the plate around when you're in an emotional high, right? So that's the way that emotions can be manipulated. When the waters within are stirred, If you are not able to also tap into your logical mind, then you will be manipulated. But this is mothering energy, right? This is also feminine energy on a positive aspect, a good mother, a good nurturer, right? So when we look at Cancer, like I think one of the best ways to look at it at this point in time is to really look at it like, how do you like with this fire situation that's happening? And we know like a lot of wealthy people's houses are going down, right? When we're talking about the internal self, or we're talking about the soul, we're talking about primordial energy, the divine mother, right? We're talking about the source energy of the universe, the waters of Amenta, right? In Kemetic science. We're talking about dark matter or the dark mother, right? All these things are correlates to our inner light, right? Or this inner emotional feeling, so to speak. And when we're talking about source, we have to understand that source, there is no bias, right? There's no black and white. It's black, there's no black or white, I should say. There's black and white, right? Actually, there's gray, it's both yin and yang together. So it's gray, right? And all these things that are happening to the rich, if you are a person that is like, well, F them, you know what I'm saying? Or F, you don't realize that, first of all, a lot of these rich people that people hate is strictly because they're not them, right? Or they've never been around rich people. So people hate and fear what they don't understand, right? Hate what they can't conquer. But again, these rich people, they provide jobs for people. Like a lot of people work for people that are wealthy. A lot of people work for people that are rich. So if they can't provide jobs, it's also going to lead to a lot of people being out of work. That's one thing. Second of all, as I always say, it rains on the righteous and the unrighteous. The sun shines on the righteous and the unrighteous. Cows and chickens and vegetation is here to eat for the righteous and the unrighteous, right? This planet here is a test. It's a testing ground. It's a battleground. It's here for you to learn your lessons, right? Step into your purpose, learn your lessons along the way, raise your vibration, elevate spiritually, and get off the planet and go to the next journey. Go to the next journey in a spiritual form, not in a human body, and move along from the earth plane. But if you have these attachments, these emotional attachments and feelings of resentment or F them or they don't care about people, you can't be God and be you can't be God and still hate the people that are here to test you. You can't be a God and hate the challenges that are put here to make you more powerful. You can't claim to be a God and hate those elements that make you stronger, make you wiser in the forms of challenges. Some of you that are successful wouldn't be, and we're all successful in some way, shape, form, or fashion, wouldn't be there if you didn't go through some sort of hardship to get you there. There is no superhero that just gets their powers, right, through skipping through the forest and the meadows, right? Spider-Man had to get bit. Superman had to lose his parents, right? Um, Wolverine had to become Weapon X and go through terrible trauma. The Winter Soldier, and he could keep, Black Panther had to lose his father. It keeps going on and on and on and on and on. There's always some tragedy that happens to make a superhero become a superhero or unlock his superpowers, right? Bruce Banner, right, is caught up in the gamma, right? Experiment in his lab, gamma explosion. He becomes the Hulk, right? There's always something that happens. Captain America, right, is in the machine, right? After a while, the machine blows up, right? He comes out as Captain America, super soldier. There's some sort of trauma that unlocks your superhuman, supernatural abilities. It doesn't come easy. These people, the government, the Illuminati, the Bilderberg Group, the World Economic Forum, right? Everybody that is on this planet is going to be challenged. You want a soft life? A soft life doesn't exist. Soft life is a myth. This is what this whole California thing is showing you, right? There is no real soft life. A soft life just means you're going to continue to reincarnate again and again and again and again and again. This life is not supposed to be soft. You only build muscle through tension, through difficulty, through going through something. And as gods, this is why it rains on the righteous and the unrighteous, because we all say this is an illusion, right? This is an illusional 3D reality. This is a holographic universe, right? But yet and still, we look at our opponents as some sort of giants and juggernauts sometimes that we can't get through. So really at this time, really think about how you're thinking about these rich people, right? Do I want to see Hollywood burn? Yeah, I think Hollywood is wicked. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I know if Hollywood burns, there's just going to be something else that comes up that's going to be similar. One, the people want it, right? There's somebody watching Baddies. There's millions of people watching Love and Hip Hop, right? Some of y'all watching this watch those reality shows. You know, I'm not knocking, I'm not judging. I used to watch them too. You know what I'm saying? But what I am saying is these things will exist in some way, shape, or form. And there's going to have to, like, for instance, I got a homegirl, right? Very good friend of mine. And she believes in global harmony. And in my opinion, there's never going to be global harmony, not here on this planet Earth. There'll be a pocket of people that will be like a Wakanda, right? That will have probably a state or nation state, right? Or some nation states or a coupling of people that will be on a certain frequency and vibration. But there's always going to be an antagonist. There's always going to be something, because that something is what builds muscle, right? You got to have resistance to build strength. You don't build strength with a soft life. It doesn't work like that. That's not what this planet is for. This planet is for some sort of growth. And whatever trauma you go through is to bring about that growth. So really look up at how you're looking at the rich, how you're looking at these people. And is it in a holistic, because everyone you look at is a reflection of you. Everyone that is here is a reflection of you. We're all breathing the same air, no matter the race, color, creed, right? History, whatever. As I've said before, there are some people that are just here to fuck with you. That's their purpose. And that fucking with you is going to bring the best out of you once you figure out how to defeat them and once you figure out how to get out their way. And it'll teach you a lesson for the next time. You know, this is just what it is. Like, yeah, Slot, Jordan had to use his father, right? Tyson had to lose Customato. These are things that have to happen both before their championship win, right? These are things that have to happen. And the more you resist, right? And the more you try to escape through drugs, TV, food, whatever, workaholism, right? The more you choose not to face whatever it is that you have to overcome, the more it'll control you over time. And those lessons will continue to repeat over and over and over and over and over and over again. So really look at what you're emotionally connected to and see, does it serve you? Right? Are you a person that's pessimistic? Are you always looking at the world as, you know, things are going bad, you know, things will never change. This thing will never be, you know, great again, or well, great again. That's great again. But this thing won't be what I want it to be, right? It's not about that. It's not about looking at the world through the lens of through a dystopian lens. It's about looking at the world through the lens of optimism, no matter what happening, because that is the light that is in you. That is the God force that is within you. And everything else is just an illusion, right? Everything else is just the 3D matrix, the 3D reality, right? That's what we say. But when it comes to things like this, right, it's eat the rich. Well, I don't want nobody eating people in my. I got people in my family that are wealthy. I don't want them to get eaten. The same way I don't want the people in my family that are not wealthy to get eaten. I have the privilege of being on both sides and seeing both sides. So I know what it is. I understand what it is. Right? Some of y'all never been on one or the other side. I understand that as well. But please understand that your opponents are there to give you power and to strengthen you. They're there to challenge you. Right? We all want to live comfortably. I get it. Nobody wants to go through hardships. But damn, you go through them. Even if you don't want to go through them, you're going to go through them. So at least have a positive outlook. At least have an optimistic outcome. So that your emotions now, when your energy is emotion, you're able to create the reality that you wish to see, not the reality that you don't wish to see. So the same way you don't want your house burned down, you shouldn't want even Paris Hilton's house to burn down. And even me hearing that is crazy, right? It's just saying it, but it's true. She's a reflection of me. That's the spiritual truth against my human emotion, right? This is what being God's about, against my human emotion. That even my worst enemy, if I saw him coming out the house, you know what I'm saying? I may not go in to save him, right? But if I can, you know what I'm saying? I know he ain't going to threaten me in no type of way. You know what I'm saying? Still offer help in some way because I'm God, I'm light. That's what I'm supposed to be doing here on this planet, regardless, because this shit is temporary. It's only a record of deeds that reflect God. And what reflects God, what we know from nature, is that it rains on the righteous and the unrighteous. That there's food for the righteous and the unrighteous. If I'm lying, put in the comments. So another aspect or symbolism, right, of Cancer is the goddess or Set. So the goddess or Set is the embodiment of those intuitive and instinctive faculties that lay deep within our psyche, that govern our ability to care for and nurture others. So people in whom this faculty is strongly developed are very protective, caring, and nurturing. These qualities amongst the Cometians and other Africans were most desirable in mothers and wives, right? So the universe is mama, all right? Shout out to Sister Myra, you know what I'm saying? She always says Mama Universe, Father Spirit, Daughter Earth, right? And the Sun, right? The Sun is the sun. So Mama Universe contains all, right? Ain't no separation, right? Ain't no separation in the Mama Universe. Universe is all. All is mental, right? That's the first law. All is mental, all is mind. So intuition, right? What intuition really is intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for without the need for reasoning, right? So you could basically a download, right? Basically you have an idea. I like to use the Yeezys, for example, right? Kanye had an idea to create these weird looking shoes, right? At first people laughed, but then Yeezy became a phenomenon based on those weird shoes. I'm sure many people told him, don't do those designs. It wouldn't work. You know, those look weird. Those look odd. You know, stick to the ones Nike's use. Look at the way Adidas makes shoes, right? He said, no, I'm going to create a shoe that's comfortable, right? And that has certain materials. Yeezys are different than any other shoe that's out there, right? So this is somebody who has an instinctive passion, right? Or an intuitive or intuition that's going to say, okay, this is the direction I'm going to go, right? This is what I'm going to give birth to. This is what I'm going to give nurture, right? And I'm going to also nurture the willpower to do this, right? And oftentimes this comes through dreaming, visualizing, seeing these things, right, over and over in our head. This is why meditation is also an aspect of Offset, right? An aspect of the moon, right? Going within, right? Going within Mama Universe, tapping into that dark mother, that dark matter, right? Tapping into source energy, right? Through meditation, through silence and being out in nature, right? Through connecting and observing and seeing what the world really is instead of what we've been taught through media and the news to hate each other based on color, based on race, based on our money, right? Based on division, calling people broke when you could be broke the next day. We don't know what's going to happen Monday. The whole stock market could crash, right? The whole computer systems could drop and we all could lose our money. We all could be starting from zero. The same way some of these people are starting from zero that lost their homes. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm not wishing that on us, obviously, right? I want us all to have peace, power, and prosperity. But the fact is that those things can happen. So the best thing is to maintain a high vibration and to constantly tap within, right? And go within and tap into source energy. So these intuitive faculties over time, when you do that, you'll start to develop things and you'll start to get warning signs. You'll start to, know that something's going to happen, right? I told this story before. Two New Year's ago, right? I was going to go to a party. And those 2 New Years ago, I, that day I went out to get like a new pair of shoes, a new blazer, right? I was going to be real fly going to this party in Brooklyn. So went there, boom. I'm on a bus. Dude pulls out a gun on the bus on the way to where I'm going shopping, right? That was the first thing, right? All right, that happens. Come back home, all of a sudden my phone's not charging, right? It's not wet, nothing. My phone's not charging, right? I'm trying to figure out like what's going on. Why's my phone not charging? Like I plug it in. There's nothing's wrong, you know. So long story short, I have I forget what you call it, but the charger where you put the phone down and it's flat. It's a flat charger, right? I forget the name of it. Y'all can put in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. But that flat charger. So I put it on there. It started to charge, but it's super slow, right? So anyway, get the stuff, put the clothes on, pants rip. Pants rip, right? So I got the tickets, right? I was going to go out, me and a young lady that I was dating at the time. And I called, I said, yo, I can't go. I'm not going out again. Now, mind you, I bought these tickets. These tickets were like $100 something, right? So I said, I'm not going. Spirit was telling me, some things kept happening, right? Intuition, right? Instinctive faculties. Things kept happening. I said, I'm not going. The person was upset, obviously, woman, she bought clothes, got, stuff happening, blah, 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 right? So I looked on something, I think it was while looking on Instagram, right? Shortly during that New Year's, and the train that I would have had to take to Brooklyn, somebody, a nutcase was on the train tracks, right? And he held up that train for like 2 hours, right? Because the crazy thing about it is a lot of times the police here, for whatever reason, they don't touch the people that have mental health. They kind of wait for them to like burn out. And I guess this guy was so high, it took him like almost 2 hours to burn out. And long story short, I would have been on that train while the ball dropped, and I would have been pissed, and I would have been stuck, right? And I might have had to pee, whatever, right? I just would have been super pissed. So spirit was telling me, my intuition was telling me not to go, and I listened, right? And there's several things that happen like that in my life. You got to listen to your intuition, but you have to develop it, right? It doesn't just happen overnight, right? This is something that you have to nurture, so, and as you nurture your intuition, what it's going to do is going to connect you to more people, It's going to open up your heart chakra, right? But you have to be devoted to the practice of going within, of seeking source instead of seeking thy own understanding. Seek the renewing of the mind, right? And this will allow you to become more protective, caring, and nurturing, especially the women amongst us, right? This will make much better women. This will make much better mothers. And much better mothers produce much better seeds, right? Much better sons, much better daughters, right? Much better people in the world, right? Who then they teach themselves how to, who then teach their children how to go within, right? And manage their emotions, right? And then these spiritual faculties start to come up, right? Where you start getting these intuitions, you start getting this instinct under control, right? And these instinctive faculties, instead of being the animal instinct, now become divine instincts. Now you're looking at signs and symbols. Now you're seeing things. For instance, me watching Mufasa and seeing the white lines and being like, oh, that's white people. The average person looking at Mufasa is not like, those are white people. They're just looking at white lines. You know what I'm saying? But this is part of the spiritual work, to see signs and symbols and to be able to get wisdom from almost anything and from almost anyone and from almost any situation, right? And a woman that is wise is the most desirable woman on the planet. It doesn't matter how she looks. I'm going to say that again. A wise woman is always going to be the most desirable woman on the planet, no matter how much she looks. And wisdom doesn't come from division, ladies, all right? Or hating men. So the people that they worship, speaking of Cancer, right? This is Osset and Heru, right? What they call the Black Madonna and Child. What they tell the masses is Mary and Jesus, right? Jesus is Heru, Mary is Osset, right? If you don't know that by now, I suggest you watch a movie that is online called, what's the movie? It's been so long since I watched it. It's on YouTube. And I could see it right now. I just don't remember the name. But basically, I mean, you could read about this. There's tons of articles online just about Osset and Heru and the parallels, how Jesus died and was resurrected, Heru died and was resurrected, uh, through Osset, how he fought against Set, how Jesus fought against Satan, right? It's the same story, just remixed, right? And there's this story of a resurrected, crucified savior that takes place in a lot of indigenous histories way before Christianity even existed. But the symbolism of this is the woman represents primordial energy. The woman represents source energy. The woman represents God energy. The woman represents the universe, always, right? When you're talking about feminine energy, I'm not talking about women or female, I'm talking about feminine energy, the symbolism, right? That's what it represents. It's always going to be divinity, right? Or the glory of God, so to speak, right? And Heru or Horus, right? The masculine energy, yin and yang, right? Represents the will, the will, if you could call it willpower, if you wish, right? And willpower really depends on source, and it has nothing to do with your actual emotional pull, right? For instance, if you got out of a bad relationship or you've been in a relationship with someone, you know that you've had to ignore them, right? You might have had to block them. You might have had to not go to places where they've been. You may have had to, change the places that you usually hang out with and things like that, right? And, along those lines, you want to understand why you're doing that. The reason you're doing that, even if you want to stop smoking or you want to stop eating, certain food or whatever, there's going to be an urge. Like I told you, I stopped smoking weed, right? I don't have the urge anymore. But when I first stopped, the last video I did, I told y'all, like, even that day, I was like, yeah, I'm fighting the urge to smoke weed. Like I wanted to. That animal in me was like, yeah, get that weed. You know what I'm saying? Smoke. It'll be all right. What's gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? Who's watching for real? But God's watching always, right? The third eye is watching always, right? Spirit is always watching. Source is always watching, right? So there's no real place to hide. You know what I'm saying? People think that they're hiding and no one sees, right? But the universe is always aware. There's always a self-awareness in you, right? There's always a consciousness pumping that blood, right? And giving you that respiration and fighting off those diseases. That consciousness is always active. So there's always an eye on you. So coming into you developing your will, it has to do with you knowing how to manage those emotions. Again, that's what the Sphinx is all about, right? Logic and reasoning, developing critical thinking so that you could develop and manage those emotions. That's what Heru or Horus represents. Also, it represents that warrior energy to go to war against certain things, right? Even people, challenges, right? Societies, organizations, governments, right? You got to have a strong will to do that because most people, as we know, are sheep, right? Sheep, NPCs, you know, most people, agents of the matrix, right? Most people are not going to do this work. Most people are not interested in this work. Most people are just going to come back here and recycle over and over until they get it right. You know what I'm saying? Prayers to the dead and those that deserve killing, right? Prayers to the dead and those that deserve killing because they're going to come back, right? And some of us that think we're not going to come back, we're going to come back again too because there's more to learn because you still have these physical attachments to this world and to these emotions to where we think that, you know, these things really matter. And we've been taught that way, but we have to relearn what we've been taught, right? So that's why that's why the popes worship this image. Not only are they worshiping you, melanated men and women, but they're also worshiping the dark energy that you represent. They're worshiping that carbon, right? They're worshiping that energy, that soul power that you have. And that's really what the darkness represents. It represents soul power. See, spirit comes after soul power, right? Just like emotions come after thought. But the thought is the first thing. Before there's any emotion, Cancer, right? Before there's any emotion, there's thought. So you have to learn how to cultivate thoughts, right? That bring you different emotions. If you cannot cultivate thoughts that bring you different emotions, then your thoughts will continue to run you into an earlier grave, into unhappiness, into depression, into sadness, into the hospital, into stress, right? Into isolation, and et cetera, et cetera. And this is the year where you will feel that at a heavy level, right? There's some people that had to go through these fires so they understand and empathize for what other people are going through. And this is going to change them and make them better people, even though it's a terrible tragedy. They won't look at the people of Gaza as they should be blown to bits and destroyed, because now they lost everything too. There was this actor I saw, James Woods, right? I put it in my stories on Instagram, James Woods. And, he was like, killed them all, burned down Gaza. And now his house got burned down in the fire. Do you think that's going to change him? Let's hope so. Right? But if not, guess what? He's going to come back here and spin. And he might come back. And the thing about this is we don't have just one life, right? Also, this picture, when you look at the divine feminine, it deals with reincarnation, rebirth, which is what this year is about anyway, right? A new birth. 9 is the number of birth. It's the number of endings. When the baby comes out the womb, that's it, right? But it also creates a new life, So one of the ways to escape and understand the quandaries of why bad things happen to good people and why it seems like bad people don't get punished, right, is to understand that there is reincarnation. So yeah, you may think you got over in this life, but next life you'll come back, right, and you'll start over as a poor kid in the slums of Venezuela, right? A baby born in Venezuela, where society is just fucked up right now, right? And you come back as that baby, and you got to go through that so you understand, but you still have that DNA, right, of who you were that you have to resonate with, that is in those parents that you have now to help you unlock the God force that is in you. So God is the ultimate planner, you know, source, universe, whatever you want to say, right? But this all corresponds to that Cancerian energy, right? The divine mother, right? The divine nurturer, the divine healer, you know, of protection, care, and love. And we cannot forget that love is an aspect. And what is love? Love is empathy that leads to compassion. Another aspect of love is giving without seeking anything in return, right? And I know a lot of times that's hard to do, but that is ultimately what the universe does. It gives to everyone arbitrarily and says, have at it. Not to say you as an individual have to give to everybody, right? Let's not be silly with this. You know what I'm saying? You, of course, you set up your boundaries, right? Even the universe has boundaries. There's only so much you could do. You ain't gonna be able to move the sun. You ain't gonna be able to shift the moon. I don't care how much powers you have, right? You ain't gonna be able to put the earth where Pluto is or where Mercury is. I don't care how much spiritual power you develop here on planet Earth. There's limits, there's boundaries, the same way you should have limits and boundaries, right? Again, an observation of nature and a sincere reflection in silence, right, will allow you to see you and divinity reflected back on you. Hopefully that made sense. If not, the comments are there. All right. So another aspect of Cancer, Yemaya. All right. Yemaya and or Set or Isis, pretty much the same chick, right? One is Cometian or Egyptian. The other one is West African. You could tie it to Yoruba, right? A lot of Ifa. I know they deal with Yemaya, right? But signs and symbols, Aleke beads, number 7. You're going to see the number 7 again also here, right? On another deity that we talk about. The moon, cowrie shells, blue and white, right? Other names, Yemoya, Yemaya. We can go through that. Mother of all Orishas, mother whose children are fish. Attribute, she governs everything pertaining to women, particularly the birth and bearing of children, childbirth, conception, parenting, child safety, love, and healing. All right. So this is all Cancerian attributes as well. So you can see how these deities all have the same attributes as the astrological sign, right? So these deities represent a certain force, right? And the force continues to repeat themselves. We saw this with Osset. We saw this with Cancer, right? This force continues to repeat itself. So what happens when the neophyte went into the Egyptian mystery school system, these type of deities was given to them so they could understand this force that really is not personified in real life, right? This is a myth. These are mythos, right? For you to understand this force and for you as the human to understand this force, right, you need a human body, a human vessel, because that's what you know. You know human bodies and human vessels, but it's really just a force of light and sound. This whole universe, this holographic universe, is nothing but a light and sound show, right? That's all it is. It's a light and sound show. It's not like this tangible reality that exists beyond this physical body. Even this physical body is just a vehicle for our spirit, right? It's a vehicle for spirit. It's a vehicle for the soul. That's it. So when it comes to the divine feminine, right, this is really what the divine feminine looks like It's not the divine feminine that comes online and, you know, is talking bad about men and saying men are destroying the earth. No, it's the divine feminine that are elevating men and women, right? It's the divine feminine that are talking about elevating children, not destroying the children, right? Of the divine, which are all, right? Which are all. Everything is everything. And I know this is a concept that you may feel like I'm taking you back to some sort of Christianity, but if you literally listen to what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying is true. If you are one that is aligned with the truth. So Yamaya is also an aspect of Cancer. All right. We got another one, Mami Wata. All right. Mami Wata is a West African deity. All right. And Mami Wata is a West African deity. She's very popular as well. All right. And so you can say Mommy Water, Mother Water, right? But really, Mommy Water is what we say. And half human, half fish. Okay. And you'll see that she is a snake charmer. All right. She resembles a mermaid, but she's also a snake charmer. So we are in the year of the snake. So being that we are in the year of the snake, and we're in a full moon in Cancer, right? And Cancer is all about, right, the emotions, nurturing, right? Feelings, the subconscious, which is what we've been talking about, really getting back to source and what source really is and explaining that, right? Now, this mommy water energy, right, is about cultivating that, all right? Mastering that. And once you master your emotions, right, you're no longer ruled by your emotions. You feel an emotion. For instance, there's nothing wrong with engaging in war, right? War is necessary. But if you hear the philosophy of Bruce Lee when he goes into war, he's not talking about being angry. He's not talking about being upset. He's not talking about hating his opponent, right? In fact, one of the videos that circulates around, I should have put it up, but one of the videos that circulates around Bruce Lee a lot is him talking to his Sifu, his master or master teacher at the time. And the master says, who is your opponent? And he says, I have no opponent. And he says, why do you have no opponent? He says, because there is no I, right? Meaning that he is like water, which is what Cancer represents, right? Cancer is a water sign, right? But the wateriest of the watery signs, right? You talk to a Cancer or you're around a Cancer, they're not really going to be direct, right? When you're around a Cancer, you really got to watch their body language. Their body language will tell you more than their mouth will. All right. That's a gem. All right. When you're especially, a Cancer woman, most Cancer women, the few that I've dated, they're never direct, right? It's always like, I don't want to say underhanded, but like it was saying earlier, it's subtle, right? It's not just straight up. You know what I'm saying? There's a subtlety to it, right? There's a kind of, like I said, you got to really observe the body language, because the body language is going to, and that's really with all water signs, right? But especially Cancers, right? I'm a water sign myself, so Scorpio, but especially Cancers, right? And I'm a Cancer rising. So I understand how this emotional thing is something that you really got to get intact or in check, or you could crash out, right? Only takes you a couple of seconds to go to jail, but actually. So, this is very, very important, especially for us that are hotheads and quick to anger and quick to judgment and quick to shit on people, right? Quick to look down on people, right? You really want to understand where these emotions are coming from, right? Is there, you know, are you overcompensating for something, right? Do you want certain things so other people could look at you a certain way, right? Have people told you were, you nothing, or you weren't going to be anything, and you're just trying to prove these people right, but really, this is not making you happy in the long run, right? When you're by yourself, all you could think of is, what else you're going to get or buy, or, what else can you do to further impress somebody? That's not living, that's actually slavery, and you're a slave to someone else. So being a snake charmer is you charming your own inner snake, right? And that inner snake is the vagus nerve, the rest and digest, what taps you into your paranormal, what taps you into those instinctive, those intuitive facilities, right? When a baby is being born, right, the womb expands, it gets bigger because it has to make more space for the growth of the baby. It's natural. All right. So this is the same way that your energy is a visual representation of how the spiritual aspect works of when you start to go within yourself through meditative practice, through engaging in ritual, through full moons, new moons, tapping in, right? Working on different aspects of the self, tapping into your self mastery, learning about magic, learning about herbs, learning about candles, these different things that, hopefully we're coming to YouTube for or whatever, right? Reading books for so that we can tap more into our indigenous culture because that's where the spirituality is really at, right? A lot of this European occultism, right, while it does serve some purposes, has no real moral or ethical value. It's just do what thou wilt. And do what thou wilt is what got the world the way it is. Always say a lot of these so-called occultists would be no different than the people in the government that they talk about and jeer about if they had their power. They'll be no different because I see them in the magic groups and I see what they teach people and I see what they talk about. So mastering the snake, controlling the snake, right? Remember the story of Adam and Eve as well, right? The snake came to Eve. And this is just the snake was always a representation, even if you look in a lot of other indigenous cultures, the snake is always a representation of wisdom, of spiritual power. Always, right? And Eve was tempted. And what did the snake say? I was going to give you the knowledge of good and evil, of both sides, of yin and yang. It's the same thing I'm saying, right? So you can understand both sides and understand what both sides are for, right? You won't understand good if you don't have bad. You won't get any more powerful if you don't have any resistance. No pain, no gain. And when you have times of peace, great. But times of peace for no one, no matter how much money you have, lasts forever. This is what the fires in LA are showing you. And everybody has their turn. Look at what's happening to Puffy. Look at what happened to, Little Dirk and them, King Von and them, you know what I'm saying? Killers, allegedly. People who played with Justin Timberlake when he was a child, allegedly. Now is in prison. Maybe might never get out of prison. And look at all the money they have. The fires that's happening to these people, the floods in these countries, I think Ellen had a couple of houses. She tried to flee. One of her houses flooded. Other house here in California burnt up. What does she have to account for, right? What nefarious deeds does she do? Everybody gets their time, either in this life or the next life. You cannot escape justice. So understanding the knowledge of good and evil is not about, in the Bible, in that mythology, it's about having an awareness. That's why her name is Eve, even, balance, right? And Adam, the atom, right? Eating the apple is Adam understanding now the knowledge of good and evil, right? And the whole story of getting kicked out of Eden, right, is a myth designed to take you away from your power. That's all it is. And I don't want to get deep into that story, but understand that the snake is not a bad thing. Snake sheds its skin. It's about transformation and constantly transformation and constantly looking at your what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance, right? Being able to take new information. So these are the feminine aspects of this Cancer energy that we are having right now, and this full moon energy. So really, and again, one of the best ways is to look at how you feel about this whole fire situation and how you're looking at the people involved in it. You know, there's also melanated families out. I think it's Althena, right? You could correct me in the comments, but an all black town in California got burnt down, right? Hey, I said send them water, send them rain. Y'all said let it burn. You know what I'm saying? Y'all said let it burn. Anyway, so we also have to remember we got the sun in Capricorn. So with the sun in Capricorn, right, is masculine energy, but also there's a water aspect to this as well, right? So this is a very powerful time for not only self-transformation, not only for eliminating bad habits, not only for implementing new systems, which is all Capricorn energy, right? Capricorn is also father energy. Okay. Remember, the winter solstice is the longest night. Okay. That's father energy. Okay. That's why Santa Claus, Saint Claustrum, right? We'll get into that science, but is that masculine energy, right? Then you have the summer solstice, which is Cancer, feminine energy. That's mother energy. Okay. So this right now, under this full moon that'll kick off tomorrow and occur over the next 3 days, is essentially the spiritual nuclear family coming together as one. Two halves becoming whole, right? Which means you could give birth and manifest something beautiful. And even if it's not, you know, whatever change or behave, well, you should want to change some sort of in 2025. I mean, you have goals that you want to hit, you have things that you want to do. You have to know that you can't stay the same, right? Nothing new occurs with the same mindset that created it. You have to create a new mindset first. And then these things that you want will happen. So when you are in your manifestation, when you are crafting your petitions, right? Make sure there's something that you'll change, right? To allow you to get that thing, that new car, that new house, that new job, that new whatever, right? Make sure that there's something behind that that you're willing to change. That's the real sacrifice. You don't got to sacrifice a chicken. You don't got to sacrifice a goat. The sacrifice is you sacrificing a chicken and goat in you. Some goat, some shit you're stubborn about and you can't shake, right? The chicken, some shit you're scared of and you won't face. You get what I'm saying? Science and symbolism, right? People took those lessons, oral traditions, and thought it just meant sacrificing a chicken and goat, which you can, right? There's magnetic fields associated to that, right? I'm not saying that those things don't make things happen, but the magic starts is within. Cancer, right? The magic comes from within. It's conjured from the divine mother. It's conjured from divine feminine energy. So it comes from within. All that external shit, yeah, it works, but it is external. And you can still be a depressed piece of shit and manifest all the physical things in the world. So Capricorn is the sea goat. All right, it's the sea goat. It's the goat emerging from water. It has the tail of mommy water, as a mermaid tail, right? Capricorn has a mermaid tail. So some of the positive keywords, let's go through this real quick. I did a whole video on Capricorn. You can go check that out. I did a live on Capricorn. Driven, patient, strategic, determined, disciplined, responsible, persistent. Okay. So with your goals, right, and with what you're trying to achieve, like what type of discipline are you putting in? You know what I'm saying? Are you responsible? Are you persistent? And what you want to do is look at your emotions tied to these things, right? What's your emotions like about being strategic? What is your emotions tied to you being determined? What's your emotions tied to it being disciplined? If you hear about discipline, do you automatically be like, oh, I got to do this shit? You could change that in meditation. All you got to do is simply breathe. You could change that by going in nature. You got to do it consistently. Yeah, just like meditation, but you could change your feeling about whatever it is you don't like being disciplined about by seeing yourself smiling doing it, by seeing yourself enjoy doing it. Whether it's overcoming a habit by seeing yourself at joy, resisting it, by seeing yourself in happiness, resisting it. And then how you top it off is you're saying by doing this, you're going to get your reward, your new car, your new house, your new boo, your new trip to the Bahamas, your new credit score, whatever, right? Whatever. And I'm letting you know this happens. This is real life. This is magic. But this time is how you can set this particular 3 days. Is how you can set yourself up for the rest of 2025, because it's the marriage of masculine and feminine energy. Capricorn's the father, Cancer's the mother. Mother, divine masculine, divine feminine coming together. All right. But you got to have a plan and you got to have some organization. Negative aspects: pessimistic, greedy, cynical, fearful, ruthless, rigid, miserly. All right. So again, check your emotions behind these things and really analyze yourself. All right. And like I said, this is the magic time. All right. This is when Orset, who's on the right, the horns are head heruish, but Orset, the female deities in Kemet, they kind of take on different attributes depending on what they're doing. So being that, so sometimes you see Orset sitting down and she doesn't have like the chair on her head. She has like the horns of Het Heru. Well, that just means her energy is active, right? And it also represents her energy enjoyment, right? Because Het Heru, Hathor, Oshun, same deity, different name, joy, right? Primarily is joy and imagination, right? And you have on the left Heru or Horus. And you see he has the snake on his head as well, right? Same thing Mami Wata had, right? But Heru, as we said, represents the will, right? Nurturing the will. So it's giving birth to joy, and the joy powering the will. What I just tell you, if you got something that you're dealing with, take it into meditation. Learn how to meditate. Learn how to meditate. Learn how to meditate. I'm going to give you some tools at the end of this video. You're going to have no excuse. You know what I'm saying? 2025, it's up to you. This is the year of the snake. This is the year you got to shed skin. You got to do something different. You can't go into 2025 doing the same shit you've been doing for the last 4 years. There's got to be some change. There's got to be some sacrifice. That's what the world is showing you. Shit is burning down. People are going through whole new lives. And you're going to have to act a whole new way in some way, shape, or form. And what they're doing, both their hands, is they are nurturing Arser. Arser is basically yin and yang, wholeness, oneness, right? Unity, right? And by nurturing unity, you then gain spiritual power. You then align the left and the right brain, which is what the two plumes on the side of Orser head, right, represent: the awakening of the left and right brain, the logic and reasoning aspect with the imaginative and intuitive aspect of the brain, right? So your critical thinking process, which is the snake, the Uraeus in the middle, Wajet, right, is able to now tap into the paranormal through your awakening of the vagus nerve that flows up the spine, right, to tap into the paranormal. At the bottom, you see 3 roses. Roses are a symbol of memory, right? Rose, if you have a child, right, you want to have a diffuser with a rose in it, right? Also, if they have a test the day before, right, a little bit of rose essential oil, right? You can put a little bit on the pillow, right? They'll be able to retain any information they studied the night before better. All right. So rose, if you're a person who's studying, right now, reading and learning different things, get you a diffuser, put some rose essential oil in there. All right. 9 times out of 10, when you buy a diffuser, that's not one of the oils they're going to give you, because they know. All right. They're not going to tell you, but they know. And the number 3 also is a number of manifestation: man, woman, and child, right? Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, right? Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, right? Or Pierre or Set, Isis or Ser, right? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, right? We can keep going into these different trinities, right? And from these different cultures. So 3 is also the number of manifestation. And you could have whatever you like, right? And you'll develop spiritual powers along the way. Another aspect is Capricorn, all right? So Capricorn is another aspect also of this particular energy. And I'm sorry, Capricorn, the chariot. Chariot is another aspect of this energy and of this Cancerian energy. So the chariot card represents Cancer. So its driver is guided by divine wisdom. Again, the internal. All these things talk about the internal, right? Divine wisdom, the stars, the galaxy, the divine mother, the universe. The number 7 symbolizes creative force and practical application. All right. That's simple. Urim, one of 2 objects used by the high priest of the Israelites to divine the will of God. Thummim, one of 2 objects, again, used by the high priest of the Israelites to divine the will of God. So in the Bible, there's something called the Urim and the Thummim. In the Old Testament, basically, it's where they went to do their readings, right? To be simple, tarot readings. Just think of tarot readings, right? The Urim and the Thummim was an oracle. It's where they went to get, so where they got to get spiritual knowledge, spiritual wisdom, right? It's like going to a lady today who does tarot readings, right? Or does oracle readings, right? Who's good at it, right? Or who could throw bones, right? Some people do it with dice, right? Some people could scry into water. Some people could scry into a black obsidian glass, right? These different type of ways of gaining intuition or gaining divine knowledge. So that's what these 2 things on the side of the armor represent. It says the charioteer holds a wand, symbolizing his superior mental ability to control the beast under his influence through sheer will. So this is about controlling negative and positive energy and knowing when to use it. All right. There's a time when you may have to be aggressive and assertive, and there's a time to be laid back and chill, right? There's a time for everything, right? Too much of one is an imbalance, right? And we always want to get to a space of balance. This is why we're doing this spiritual work to achieve ma'at, or balance, right? It says the winged sun is associated with protection against the forces of chaos. So that is that inner light, that inner knowing, that inner seeing, that third eye awakening. The spinning top represents the movement of energy, the higher vibration, right? Raising the higher vibration, and also how it protects you, where this looks like a little shield right here. And as I said before, the black and white sphinx moving in sync represents the unification of opposing forces toward a common goal. If you notice, right, he's not holding anything to, or it does say that with the wand, all right? He's not holding anything, right, to control these particular animals, right? But he is still, right, the chariot, right? He still is moving with strength. This is inner power. Inner power makes you a fortress. It gives you spiritual protection. You could say, scientific terms, this is the electromagnetic field. This is a person with a high aura, right? This is a person with their etheric field on fleek, right? It's popping, right? They can't touch you. They can't fuck with you because they don't even know how to deal with you. Your spiritual protection is too high. Your vibration is too high. Your mindset is too high. It's thinking on a godly level. They can't fuck with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's your spiritual protection without you wearing, 20 million crystals every time you go out, right? But a lot of us, until we get to that point, we got to wear those 20 million crystals. And I'm not saying don't wear crystals when you go out to protect you, because no matter what, you want to be as protected as possible. But ultimately, if you don't have any crystals, you want to know that you're protected as well. And that's what this is about. So forward movement, mastery, overcoming obstacles, fortitude, self-control, and focused action. All right. So essentially, the chariot card is really about self-determination, self-confidence, and self-control. And all these things come from within. All right. And the city behind him is how you have to leave your comfort zone, right, to develop this type of energy. You can't build, again, you got to go through something to become something. You can't build strength without any resistance. You can't build muscle without any resistance. Doesn't work like that. All right. So that's what this planet is about. And that's the sign of Cancer. So God is within everything. God is one force of which everything in the universe is an inseparable, not separable part. So we are one with all, and all is one. There is no separation between you and anyone. This is why when you truly understand your magic, you can, with your powers, right, use it to make the universe work in your favor, to influence people to work in your favor. And you don't even have to be conscious of doing it. Your intuition will do it. Your electromagnetic field will do it. Your way of life will do it. Your character will do it. There's some situations that'll just happen to you. The job that I have now, right, where I'm comfortably working from home, and I'm grateful for. I got this because I was cool to somebody at my last job, right? He would come out, we was at a sales job. He would come out, he'd be stressed, and we would share thoughts and shit. And, we got cool or whatever. And, time passed, I left that job, went to another one. He went to another one, and we just ended up linking up. He's like, yo, so what's up? Blah, blah. We end up meeting up, chance meeting in Manhattan. He's like, yo, I'm going to a Wu-Tang concert, man. You want to come? I'm a Wu-Tang fan. I'm like, yeah, let me go. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? We ended up going to the concert. Boom. He ended up saying, yo, I work at this place, such and such, such, such. Lo and behold, I'm at this job. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy it. Nobody's on my back. I make good money. You know what I'm saying? I'm chilling. I don't got to harass y'all. I don't got to lie to y'all here on YouTube. I ain't got to tell y'all about, Planet Risk and and gnomes in the fucking forest and, mermaids in the sea and, King Kong in Central Earth and all this weird, stupid shit that motherfuckers tell y'all that ain't going to help y'all do nothing, keeping y'all in fantasy land, in dreamland, drifting on memory, drifting on a flotation device of foolishness, right? Distraction, the biggest distractions, right? I don't gotta lie to y'all. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say I don't want to ever transition to it. This is what my main thing, right? But I'm always want to have something other than just a YouTube, because I see when people got bills to pay, right, on YouTube, they start saying anything. They start saying anything to y'all that sounds good or that they think y'all want to hear. And then you're compromising yourself. You're selling your soul. True story. So, water aspect, Cancer season. Let's look at this. This is Dr. Emoto, right? Some of you may have heard of him. This is some of his water experiments. Let's go through it.
This next series of photographs are the work of Japanese researcher Mr. Masaru Emoto from his book, The Message from Water. Mr. Emoto's work provides factual evidence that human vibrational energy, thoughts, words, ideas, and music affect the molecular structure of water. Please remember that water comprises over 70% of a mature human body and covers the same amount on our planet. Water is the very source of all life. This photo shows the beautifully formed geometric design of the Yushi Spring water. This next photo is from the Shimanto River, the last clean spring in Japan. Notice the extraordinary geometric forms. The fact that the molecular structure of water can be affected by our consciousness, our intent, and our sounds is extremely important.
Now remember, your body is 75% water. Can y'all hear that? Put a 7 in the chat if y'all can hear that. Can y'all hear that? And should I turn my speaker off? Is it echoing? Let me know. All right, I can hear it. Thank you, Avatar. And see, even like the water I'm sipping right now, got King on the cup. Talk about structured water, Yaki. I can structure my own water, nigga. Nah, shout out to Yaki. I'm just talking a little shit. All right, let's go.
This photo is from the Mount Cook Glacier in New Zealand. Mr. Emoto has been visually documenting these molecular changes in water by means of his photographic techniques. He freezes droplets of water, then examines them under a dark field microscope that has photographic capabilities. His work clearly demonstrates the diversity of the molecular structure of water and the effects of the environment upon the structure of the water. This photo is from the fountain in Lourdes, France. This photo is from contaminated water from the Yodo River in Japan. In this photo, we can compare the contaminated water with clean stream water. Look at the difference. Mr. Emoto decided to see what effects music would have upon the structure of water. He placed distilled water between two speakers for several hours while playing different music and then photographing the crystals that formed after the water was frozen. This photo is of water being exposed to Beethoven's Pastorale. This photo is the effect of Bach's air for the G string on the water.
Now, I want to note that this is classical music, right? And a lot of people, when they talk about classical music, even jazz, like, well, most people know jazz is melanated people's music, aka black people's music. But a lot of people don't realize that classical music is black people's music too, right? The drum, the djembe, comes from Africa. The first string instruments like the harp and the violin, you could trace back to Africa, right? This is fact. So don't let anybody tell you that classical music is not your music, right? It is your music. And honestly, one of the things I've been doing, even since I put this together for y'all, is I've been listening to classical music like every morning, right? Like the first thing before I even like get on my phone or whatever, like I'll listen to like Beethoven or Bach, you know what I'm saying? And listen to one of them. And it puts you in a different frequency, right? Most of your body is 75% water. The earth is 75% water. All right. There is scientific evidence that cancer patients who listen to a certain and if you want this information, you can email me or message me, and I'll give you the exact what it is. But it's either Beethoven or Mozart. But there's a certain song or a certain sonata that you could listen to, and it actually reduce cancer by 20%. Right? There's people who put harpists in the ER, right? And the people were getting out of the ER left and right. Right? They were being healed because the water in their body now was changing, right? It was transforming them. This is what nurturing is about. This is what divine feminine energy is about. This is what healing energy is about. This is what care and love is about, right? This is what understanding family is about. This is what we have to come to as the vanguard of understanding these sciences so that we could pass these on to our kids so that we could continue to heal the planet even further, right? For those of us that are here on our last incarnations or our second to last incarnations, or just trying to be around better people than the savages that we are around currently.
This photo is water exposed to Chopin's Farewell Song. This next photo is water being exposed and affected to music that was designed for healing. This photo is of water being exposed to the Kawachi folk dance. This photo shows the effect of heavy metal music upon the water. Here now we can compare the effects of healing versus heavy metal music and what happens to the water molecules. Mr. Emoto decided to see how thoughts and words affected the formation of untreated distilled water crystals.
Listen, this is thoughts and words. So this is what you're saying. Remember, when you talk about people, those of you who gossip, right? I ain't judging. I'm just telling you the truth. Those of you who gossip, those of you who always got something to say, those of you who are highly judgmental, those of you who are critical about other people, those of you who are want to be elitists, who look down on people. When you're talking about people, the way the human body works is it doesn't know that you're talking about other people, right? It only recognizes that you're talking about yourself. So when you're talking about other people, right? You're really talking about yourself because, again, everyone is a reflection of you. We are one. This is a holographic universe, but we are all interconnected because the universe, universe, one song, one sound, right? We are all connected. We all pee and poop, right? We all breathe the same air. So be careful, right? This is something you want to look at during this new moon, these next 3 days, on how you talk about people, right? How are you judging people, right? Do you have these harsh passions where, I hate this person? I remember I was talking to somebody and we were gonna watch something and who did it have, like, I think Jamie Foxx, right? And they were like, I hate Jamie Foxx. I can't stand Jamie Foxx. Oh, Jamie Foxx, he's so wicked, and I know he be puffy and all that, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, he's an actor. Like, saying, like, it ain't that deep. Like, why you have this much vitriol for somebody you don't even know? Like, you never even met. You never even touched the hem of their garment, right? You never been in their surroundings even, but you have some hate based on what you saw on TV. Right. So really analyze these type of relationships that you have, because a lot of us do have these relationships with people and celebrities that we don't even know. Like, people hate Puffy and they don't even know Puffy. I mean, you could dislike what he did, but to have this whole, it's about the heart being as light as a feather. All right. That's what the Egyptians taught the neophytes. It's about the heart being as light as a feather. If you have all these emotional attachments to these things here on earth versus your purpose, which is where your emotions should go to, your purpose and you and your family. Your purpose, because you got to put your oxygen mask on first before you save anybody else. Got to put your oxygen mask on first before you save anybody else. So you and your purpose is the first and most primary thing here on the planet. Second is your family. Third is your close friends and associates. And then worry about the world. The world is the last thing. You shouldn't be here trying to save nobody, recruit nobody, and worry about why nobody's not conscious, awake, spiritual, mystic, or nothing. That ain't your business. Everybody's here for their purpose. And some people's purpose is to work at Walmart until they die. That's their purpose, to be a cashier. So when you come here, you're just a cashier, right? And you're just a gossiper. And you're here to show people, right? Some people are not put here to devolve, right? This is a quote I shared and people took it and ran with it, but it's cool. But some people are not here to evolve. Some people are here to show you what it looks like when you don't evolve. That's their purpose.
By typing words onto paper and then taping this paper onto glass bottles overnight. This photo shows the effects of the words, thank you. This next photo shows the effects of the words, love and appreciation. This photo shows the effects of the words, you make me sick, I will kill you. And here we can compare the effects of thank you with the you make me sick, I will kill you. Very, very different geometric forms being occurred through the intention. Now this photo is of a very polluted and toxic water from the Fujiwara Dam. Here now is the same water from the Fujiwara Dam after a Buddhist monk had offered a prayer over it. Prayer, that sound coupled with intention, seems to have an extraordinary ability of restoring water to its natural, harmonious, geometric symmetry. And in this photo we can compare the toxic water and then the effects of praying over the water.
So, as we can see, right, we have a very, very powerful connection to the water in our bodies and the water, right, out there, so to speak, right, out in the world. When you look at the word heart, right, it's an anagram for the word earth, right? If you scramble the letters, right, heart and earth are the same. So when you're impacting the water within yourself, you're also impacting the earth. This is why I did a video. One of my first videos was how to use melanin and water to create magic, something like that, right? Melanin and water to manifest, I think it was. And basically what I was saying was when it was raining, this is a good time to do your rituals. This is a good time to do some candle magic, right? This is a good time to set intentions. This is a good time to hold a vision. Why? Because that rain, right, with you charging up your intentions through your thoughts, which produce an emotion, right, which produce an action, right, which creates resonance out into the ethers. While it's raining, that rain is going into the sea. That rain is going into the trees. That rain is going into the crops. That rain is circulating through the clouds, right? It's going to eventually come back and turn into vapor and go all across the planet. So you're giving power to your intentions. So tapping in and understanding, like, your water bottles, you might want to label your water bottles, right? Love, peace, joy, right? Things that you drink out of constantly, right? If you have a mug at work, like, don't have a mug that you drink your coffee with saying some stupid shit, right? I hate life, or working here sucks or something like that. No, you want it to be positive. You want it to be affirmative, right? You want it to affirm the God in you, to affirm the divinity in you, right? You want it to affirm your highest version of yourself, because you keep drinking that water. You're continuing drinking that crystalline structure, right? Which is a form of magic, right? These are different hexagrams, right? These are different crystalline structures that are sacred geometry. So in essence, you are making yourself the vessel of God, right? You are making yourself a divine being. You are a walking temple of God, right? No crystal needed, just a pure heart. So speaking of divine mothers, right? Assata Shakur, right? If you don't know who Assata Shakur is, she is a former political prisoner. She has a great book called Assata. I suggest, if you are, whoever you are, melanated or not, this is something that you should read, right? It's a testament of strength, courage, intelligence, wisdom, seeking, developing oneself. Is a great book, right? But long story short, the Black Panthers of her time period broke her out of prison, right? Now, if you think about it, the political prisoners nowadays, right? Nobody's trying to break them out of prison, much less breaking them out of prison. But she got broken out of prison, right? They actually got her out of a prison. This is melanated people, and got away with it. And got away with it. Now, she doesn't detail how in the book, obviously, duh, but it happened, right? And she fled to Cuba. And they still trying to find her, and they can't find her. But look at what the messages she's still giving out. Says part of being a revolutionary is creating a vision that is more humane, that is more fun too, that is more loving. It's really working to create something beautiful. This should be one of the most bitter women on earth. This should be the woman that hates men the most. This should be the woman that hates the government the most. This should be a woman that's not saying anything like this. But this is a divine feminine. This is a goddess that you're seeing, right? This is the energy that the goddess emanates. This is an energy that is beautiful, right? Who don't want to be with somebody like this as a divine masculine? Who don't want to have fun? Who don't want to be with people that's more humane? Who don't want to be with people that's more loving? So all y'all out here teaching do what thou wilt and ain't no good and bad and all that. No, teach it in a way that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because there is obviously good and bad. You don't want nobody around your children that's going to do bad. You want people that's going to do good. You don't want to be working around people that are going to do bad. You want people that are going to do good. There is. Now, man's law, we're not dealing with man's law, man's dogma, but where is spiritual law, right? Now, that's the difference. You could say under man's law, that good and bad shit is fugazi, yes. Because man's law is bullshit. It's based on commerce and commercial and capitalism here in America. Overseas, it might be the Sharia law, whatever other law, right? Man's law is bullshit. But there is spiritual law, right? Beating a kid up is bad. Abusing a woman is bad. That's the truth. Tell me it's not the truth in the comments. So she also said we need weapons of mass construction, weapons of mass love. It's not enough to just change the system. It's not enough to just change the system. We need to change ourselves. All right? So again, this is somebody who was stuck inside of a hole, in a hole in prison where there was rats, roaches, well, not rats, I think roaches and ants and all type of shit that was fucking with her before she got out, right? But she kept her faith. That powerful book. Go read Asada if you haven't read Asada, her biography. All right? Especially if you're a scary person. So, and this is by Walter Russell. He said, I found out that the real essentials of greatness in men are not written in books, nor can they be found in the schools. They are written in the inner, Cancer, Moonlight, Divine Feminine, Mommy Water, Yamaya, Offset, right? Chariot, the inner consciousness of everyone who intensively searches for perfection in creative achievement and are understandable to such men only, meaning that the greatness in you is discovered when you are focused on your highest purpose here on the planet, what your purpose is, right? And you have a purpose here that is tethered to your divinity, right? And it could be more than one thing in the physical world, right? Don't just think you're locked into one thing, right? Because you may have a passion for 3, 4, 5 things, right? But ultimately, your purpose is here to become a God man or a God woman here on earth. And if that's not your main purpose, you're going to come back here again until you understand that that is the main purpose. And you're going to go through mad hardship again to build the spiritual muscle, to come to this point to where you realize that that's the main purpose. And you're going to come back again. And you're going to come back again. And before you come back again, while you're here, you're going to continue to get lessons over and over and over and over and over and over that is going to drive you to that point. And if you don't get it, then you'll die and come back here again. That's the whole scenario of video games, right? Until you beat that board, the man keeps reanimating, right? Your man keeps reanimating. You continue to play the game until you pass that boss on that level and you get to the next board until you beat the game. And until you beat the game and figure out the strategy to beat the game, you continue to reanimate. So one of the keys of this time is to learn meditation.
Cannot meditate, must not expect peace, because the objective of meditation is to raise yourself above the thoughts of the mind into the bliss that Carl Jung called the superconsciousness, into the bliss that Buddha called nirvana, into the bliss that Jesus calls the kingdom of God within you. When you take the human spirit and raise it up into the place where there is no thoughts, no stain of thought, it becomes the Holy Spirit. In virgin consciousness, Christ is born. And so, 23:7 says, he who cannot meditate must not expect peace. And without peace, how can anyone expect happiness? And Jesus Christ said in Luke 17:21, the kingdom is within you. Look at 23:8. As a ship at sea is tossed by the tempest, so the reason is carried away by the mind when preyed upon by the straying senses. Storm. It's a storm. And each one of you have come through. So many of you, your boat is rocking. Many of you, the boat is shifting back and forth. The storm, sometimes it seems like it'll never relent. And sometimes after you've come through a storm of the mind and everything seems to be getting down to order, and you seem to be getting almost reasonable to live with, there comes another one. It's just like, did you ever see sometimes you're sitting and it's beautiful out, you're out in the backyard, and then all of a sudden you smell this, it gets a little chilly like a cold, and all of a sudden you look up and there in the west is this big black cloud, and off in the distance here, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's going to come. It's going to rain buckets on you, and the thunder's going to thunder, and the lightning's going to lightning. Think of that in your head. Did you ever know when you're starting to get into a bad mood and you hear that thunder going? Getting ready to sulk now. You just get nasty. Anything somebody says to you, oh yeah, yeah. All of a sudden, you were a nice person a little while ago. Now, what is this? What happened? How come you don't like nobody? What are you doing? Why are you acting like this? What happened? Boom, boom, boom. Inside, now the clouds are all over your head. You can't change that any more than you can change the storm that's coming from the west, because it's the same thing. And all you can do is wait till the storm passes by. And the only thing that you should do as you wait for that storm to pass by is be a Noah and try as hard as you can to get yourself into the ark. And if you manage to get yourself into the ark, that storm that sets about to destroy you will do the same thing it did to him. Instead of destroying you, it will lift you up and put you on the mountaintop. That's the secret. And so he says, he who cannot meditate must not expect peace, because the objective of meditation is to raise yourself above the thoughts of the mind into the bliss that Carl Jung called the superconsciousness, into the bliss that Buddha called nirvana, into the bliss that Jesus calls the kingdom of God within you. When you take the human spirit and raise it up into the place where there is no thoughts, no stain of thought, it becomes the Holy Spirit. In virgin consciousness, Christ is born.
So, what P is saying, right, essentially is when you meditate, you basically are creating an ark for yourself when there are storms, right? In times of peace, prepare for war. I've said that several times. Right. And that is what meditation does for you. It allows you to create times of peace around tensions and challenges and hardships and reanimate it in a fashion that you would like. You essentially are tapping into your inner child. If you notice Noah's Ark, right? Ark sounds like heart, ark, heart, right? Sounds the same. So that arc is you tapping into your heart space when things do happen, to where you're able to engage in peace and joy. One thing about melanated people, right? Even when we were slaves, there were times to get through that ordeal of slavery and being on plantations, we would be singing songs, right? We would try to find joy in it, right? One of the deities, High John, right? High John was a slave. According to the mythology, High John was a slave that was happy. He was joyful. He was able to charm the slave masters. You know, he was able to ease the whip of people when they fucked up, right, on the plantation and things like that. Peace and joy is your nature. That is your natural operation. When you come into this world, you don't hate any celebrity. When you come into this world, you don't hate anybody that's rich. When you come into this world, you don't hate anybody based on their skin color, based on their culture, based on their creed, based on how much they have or don't have. When you come into this world, you come into this world blank. When you ever see two kids, you ever been in a park and see two kids, right? One black kid, one white kid, when they just come together and play, ain't no problems. Ain't no issues. Only issue might be if one of the parents is racist, or one of the parents is hateful, or one of the parents is distrustful. It's the parents that be the problem, 9 times out of 10, because of their fears and their hardwiring and their non-conditioning of the spirit, their non-tapping into the divine feminine. See, there's a resurrection of women, but it's supposed to be a resurrection of the divine feminine. So because those people that understand the cycles and times that we're in, what they've done is they've perverted the rise of the divine feminine to make it anti-man, to make it anti-men, to make it like men are the problem, when men aren't the problem, right? Even an excessive yang, which is what we've been under with this patriarchal society, right? It just needs to be balanced, right, with the masculine and feminine. But you can't go from one extreme to the next extreme. That doesn't make it right. The oppressed becoming the oppressor only creates more oppressed. The oppressed becoming the oppressor only creates more oppressed. So a lot of people just want to, like, you'll see like Black History Month coming up, and you'll see like people walking over white people and stepping on their backs or whatever, or having these excessive privileges that are outlandish, right, during Black History Month to kind of prove a point. But we don't want that either, right? We want balance, we want fairness. You know what I'm saying? Leave us our space, you have your space, right? Give us our justice, we'll give you your justice, right? We don't want problems. We could exist amongst each other, but understand that we're different. And when we come together, respect my difference and I respect yours. Respect my perspective and I respect yours. Even if I disagree, we could agree to disagree. But meditation taps you into that heart space so that you could, and this is, again, tapping into that divine feminine, you have to go within. And I don't know any other way to go within but going into nature, doing some yoga, qigong, right? Things that put you in a quiet space. Things that put you in a holistic frame to where you're detached from the body and you are fully in the spirit world, where you're in a half awake, half dream state or a state of meditative trance. And a lot of y'all think you could read your way into this. A lot of you think you could talk your way into this. A lot of you think you could crystal your way into this. A lot of you think you could divide and conquer yourself into this. Oh, if it was only women in power, things would be much better. Yeah, how would that work with Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris in power? You tell me. How much different would it be from Obama and Trump and any one of them based on the policies? You just wanted somebody that looks like you up there, but you don't give a fuck what they really doing to society, what they really pushing, what they're really enforcing. California is Kamala Harris's state, right? She was a senator there. Why she ain't tweeting every day about what's happening in California and how much aid and how much help? What donation did she send to California to help the people that's houses burned? I'm not with either one of them or none of them, right? I'm on the side of God. I'm on the side of divinity. I'm on the side of source. I'm on the side of the creator. But we got to tap into source and we got to stop playing. And we got to start making these things a habit so that when the storms do come, we know how to tap into our peace and we know how to tap into source and we know how to find joy. You should be laughing every day. There's so much going on in the world that you could be super stressed out if you don't find ways to laugh every single day. Your favorite comedy, your favorite comedian, whatever, funny things on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. But make sure every day that you are alive, you laugh, that you're smiling, no matter what. So, to the spells, to the rituals, okay? So I discussed this in my other video. What I want you to do, or what you can do, is get you 3 black prayer candles, right? I even got it here on Amazon, right? You can pick them up on Amazon, $9.99. That's a very good price, right? If you got Prime. If you don't, you can go to your Walmart or whatever, Walgreens, CVS, XBet, blah, blah, blah. You don't got to spend a whole bunch of money. You don't got to get no candles with labels, right? But I recommend glass candles, right? You don't want to catch a fire in your home with them skinny ass regular candles, right? So get some glass candles so that you don't burn down your house. All right. And, put a petition. 3 is the number of magic. I showed y'all that earlier. So put a petition on there of what you want to get rid of. You know what I'm saying? If you want to start a meditative practice, if you want to learn how to meditate, start a petition that you find a resource to do so. There's plenty on YouTube, but spirit will guide you to what you need if you're really devoted, right? One of the aspects of Osset is devotion to come into your divine self. This is why has Heru, right? She's nurturing the will, right? That will is for you to become God, right? That's right, Lala. Laughter is a form of transmuting negative energies as well. Okay, that's a super fact. So that's a form of magic, right? Just like homeboy, somebody earlier said that gossip is a form of magic. All right. So you want to get these 3 candles. All right. So you're trying to fight cigarettes. You're trying to fight some sort of addiction. You're trying to get rid of that dude that you got to call for that wanker. That dude you calling for the wanker that you know is toxic. You know you don't need in your life. That girl that you calling for that good box that you know is toxic, that you know is causing you headaches and distractions and you don't need, right? And you might need help, right? Spirit world says, okay, these 3 days I got help for you. You know what I'm saying? Get three candles. You know what I'm saying? Get 3 candles, light them up, write your petition, right? And write what you're going to sacrifice. Don't just, you know, don't just not have an offering. And if you want to, you could have your whatever deity that I just showed you out of all the deities you could put up, Mami Water, whatever, Yama Orset, etc. Right? You could do all that, But at the end of the day, remember that it's a personification of energy, right? So you want to harness that energy through your day-to-day, right? Which means you got to be more caring, more loving, more nurturing, right? And some of you ain't ready for that yet. You got to go through those stages to get there. I get it, right? I was once you. So I'm not judging anybody. Hopefully, I hope nobody's taking that way, right? And I am still you. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. It never stops, right? So, yeah, you could use this. And I explained this in my last video as well, but write a petition, write what you're fighting, and sprinkle some sage, a little bit of sage herb in there. All right, a little bit of sage, because when you're burning sage, what it does do, it takes away negative energy in the air, right? Also, if you want to do a double tap, right, you could drink sage tea as well. Sage tea does for the body what sage does what burning sage does for the air. Everybody talks about burning sage, but they don't talk about sage tea. If you're a person who has diabetes, get some sage tea. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm just telling you what I've done and what has worked for me in different situations, right? So yeah, that's one ritual you could come through. Another ritual is you could use Psalm 7. As we saw, the chariot card was number 7. Yemaya's number 7, and Orset's number is number 7. Okay. So Psalms, on the Psalms, you could get a book called The Power of the Psalms by Anna Riva. Power of the Psalms by Anna Riva. And there's rituals that you could use or sayings that you could use, or you could print this out and use this as your petition, And of course, we're not talking about, when we talk about the Lord, we're not talking about something outside of ourselves. I've explained this whole video, where God is and God is in you. All right. So it says, Lord my God, I take refuge in you. Save and deliver me for all who pursue me, or they will tear me apart like a lion and rip me to pieces with no one to rescue me. Lord my God, I have done this, and there is guilt on my hands. I have repaid my ally with evil, or without cause have robbed my foe. Then let my enemy pursue and overtake me. Let him trample my life to the ground and make me sleep in the dust. Arise, Lord, in your anger. Rise up against the rage of my enemies. Awake by God, decree justice. Let the assembled peoples gather around you while you sit enthroned upon them on high. Let the Lord judge the peoples. Vindicate me, Lord, according to my righteousness, according to my integrity, O Most High. Bring an end to the violence of the wicked and make the righteous secure. You, the righteous God, who probes minds and heart. Again, we're not talking about a mystery God. We're not talking about a spook. We're talking about the subconscious mind. All right, keep it simple as that. We're talking about the subconscious. While you're asleep, that runs your body, which you have no conscious control. All right, when you get your inspiration and your downloads or your crown loads, right? That's your subconscious mind. All right, so that is the God within you. So shift your identification with looking for things outside of you to save you, and start looking for your salvation within yourself. This is the change of perspective for a lot of people. This is the shedding of the skin, right? That a snake does in this year of the snake. All right. This is the shedding of the skin. This is you recreating a new you. This is you being prepared for what's to come. Because there is, you see how this year is starting. Car bombs, right? Now we got this fire. There's wars, 2 wars going on. We got the war with Gaza, and them people. And you got the war with Zelensky and Russia and them people, right? So we know that there's a lot of things happening, right? And as Bill Donahue said, when there's a storm, right, it's gonna come. And all you could do sometimes is just throw your hands, man, and be at peace. But if you caught up in your feelings, if you caught up in your emotions, if you caught up and don't know how to train these things, you'll be stressed out over something that has nothing to do with you. It doesn't affect you in the slightest bit. And there's nothing wrong with empathy, right? But yeah, have empathy, have a feeling, right? Just like anything in life. But then go back to peace, go back to joy. Also, you could get into for meditation, right? Now, I never did none of these top 3, but I'm putting them there because some things are for different people, right? But past life regression, all right? I did do this one with Brian Weiss, all right? I actually have his book, and I have done this a couple of times, this past life regression session. Now, I will say this. I don't know how it's going to work for you, right? I don't know how it's going to work for you. I know it did work for me. I did see certain past lives that I went through, and shit was solid. But I've also been meditating for quite some time, right? Off and on, right? I've had off and on moments where I've been meditating for quite some time, though. So how it's going to impact you, I don't know. But I do know that this is something you should try, and it'll at least help you get into knowing how to meditate on a basic level, because he'll bring you through it. But there's so many other meditation videos where people could teach you how to do it that you should get into it. And if y'all want me to do one, like put it in the comments after the video, like put in the comments that you want me to teach a class, and I'll do one. I have no problem doing a meditation with y'all and showing y'all how to do it and using some of the mantras I use, but I'm just not going to do it for free. There's free tools out here if y'all want it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I give y'all enough for free. So, past life regression meditation, all right? Definitely tap into this, tap into understanding your past lives, what they look like, right? And if you're sincere, you'll know that you're tapping into past lives. And don't be surprised if one of your past lives, you were Indian, if you were Caucasian, if you were Asian, right? Hawaiian, right? Middle Eastern, whatever, right? You wasn't always a melanated being or whatever you are right now, Latina, Latino, whatever, Caucasian, whatever. You wasn't always that. I know you think that, right? Because that's what your whatever color you are told you are, right? I'm FBA. I'm ADOS. I'm Pan-African. Yeah, maybe in this life. So feeling is the secret of a joyful and happy life, right? Again, managing your emotions, managing how you think, managing your feelings. All right. This is how you tap into your higher self. This is how you tap into higher levels of creativity, understanding, knowledge, and wisdom by managing your feelings. Your emotions are your magic. Your emotions are your superpower. Your emotions are your magic and your superpower. Straight up. That's your superpower. But what are people using their emotions for and towards? Right? What are they pulling into them with their emotions? A lot of times it's more and more havoc. A lot of times it's more and more chaos. A lot of times it's more and more of what they don't want. You want a healthy relationship, but you're watching manosphere videos 24/7, red pill videos 24/7. I got a friend, he's the homie. He's cool. He ain't on this wave, but he's still the homie. and he sent me, I believe it was last week, like he sent me a red pill video, like 8:30 in the morning. But sometimes you'll get the link and you don't really know what it is. So you click it, right? So I'm clicking the link 8:30 in the morning. 8:30 in the morning, I'm usually like, reading or doing something in the morning, being grateful, whatever, right? Or I might be scrolling, you know what I'm saying? I might be on Instagram and shit. I'm not exempt. But that's never the first thing that I do, though. Not anymore. But anyway, so I get the link and it's a manosphere shit. I'm like, how you watching something about women negatively first thing in the morning? Like, why is that even on? So obviously, when you get in these relationships, you're gonna have manosphere talking points. You're gonna have manosphere ideas. But is that from you, or is that somebody else talking to you through you and affecting your emotional pole? You're out here watching reality shows, baddies, loving hip hop, chicks beating each other to death every second, right? People gossiping, relationships dysfunctional. Women are receivers, right? We're talking about Cancer energy, right? The divine feminine. Women are receivers. So women are only going to emit what they receive. So a lot of times you'll have these women that are 40s and 50s, right? Who will advise young women to give them the most toxic advice whatsoever, right? Because they have slept with men that have been these ideals of what a man shouldn't be. And they've been hurt and broken by these ideals of these surface level men that they've slept with. So now they're emitting the same energy from these men that they slept with that wasn't shit, that they opened their legs to, right? And now they hate all men. Now the person hates all, now the guy hates all women. Same thing. Hurt people hurting people and spreading the hurt gospel and getting paid from it, right? There's a monetary reward. That's one thing about this system. Oh, they're going to pay you for some bullshit. Oh, they're going to pay you for some bullshit. Be a sexy red, they're going to make sure you pay, right? Be a Kevin Samuels, they're going to make sure you pay. Be as toxic as you can, you're going to get paid. Be as much as a sellout as you can. Charles Barkley says the most ridiculous things about melanated people on those shows sometimes, on inside the NBA. The most sellout, craziest things you could ever, coonish things you could ever hear. They gave him a show. They tried to give him 2 talk shows, both failed, right? But they probably going to try to give him another one, right? Because they're going to keep putting him in your face. This is how this system works. They'll reward you monetarily. They'll reward you with money, but you can't take none of that shit with you. And as we see, the comfort level that you think you might have from getting the money might get all burnt down. Sometimes your greatest dream hasn't been fulfilled or wasn't fulfilled because that great dream that you had would have took you deeper into the depths of hell, and you might be dead. Or you might be in a worse position than you thought you'd be. Your house might be burnt down right now. So feeling is the secret to a joyful and happy life. Figuring out how to manage the energy behind this deities and utilize this energy in scenarios that will allow you to garner certain gifts, right? But it has to start with you learning how to master and change behavior. This is why the higher you go up on a spiritual practice, you're going to have to learn a little bit about the Kabbalah. Not a little bit, a lot about the Kabbalah. Either the Kemetic version, the Port or Neteru by Raul Neferemen, or you can learn the Dion Fortune version, right? The mystical Kabbalah. Those are the 2 best books, I would think. Medu Neter by Raul Neferemen, which breaks down the Kemetic version of the Kabbalah, or the Mystical Kabbalah by Dion Fortune. Because what that is a hierarchical system of spirits and how you get into and develop different spiritual forces and master them and hit the next level, the next level, the next level. There is a roadmap to spiritual development. So this full moon in Cancer, really look at those emotions, look at those feelings, right? And these things will bring you wealth. These things will bring you abundance, right? All these feminine deities deal with fertility, birth, bringing things into emotion, bringing things to life, right? The things you need and you want, you desire, you will have. And you will go through challenges. You will go through ups and downs. I'm never going to be the one that's going to tell you, yeah, you do this, you do that, you do this spell, you do this ritual, everything's going to be all right. No, it's not. Shit happens to all of us. Even the most beautiful and divine person that's behind the screen that never tells you that they went through some shit, and might be going through some shit while they talking to you. I'm just bold enough to tell you sometimes. All right, anybody got any questions before I get out of here? Questions, comments, concerns? Give y'all a couple of seconds. If you are here and new here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Got more to come. All right. I got something coming up next week. I think I'll get into. I won't say the title yet, but I think it's going to be very important and impactful. Yeah, we got this full moon for the next 3 days, so utilize it to your benefits. Again, it's the marriage of Capricorn, that father energy, and Cancer, that feminine energy, right? So this is where you want to give birth to something, but the universe is asking you, what are you going to put fire to? What are you going to burn? What are you going to sacrifice, right? What are you going to get rid of? What are you going to bomb? You know what I'm saying? We had a car bombing, right? What are you going to blow up? More fire, right? What are you going to get rid of, right? Fire in the Bronx, right? What are you going to burn through? What is over for you in 2025? Really over. And what are you going to put foot to ass with? But it has to start here before it starts here. Thoughts, emotions, and then actions. And the more you cultivate certain thoughts, it's going to create certain emotions. You can't be a man and around buff people and consuming buff content, right? Muscle building content and got a muscle building screensaver and you watching muscle building YouTube videos and not go to the gym. Eventually you're going to take your ass to the gym, or eventually you're going to start doing push-ups. You're going to start working out because you're immersing yourself in that particular frequency and vibration. All right, y'all. I don't see any questions. Thank you for coming. Let me give shout out to Kim. Shout out to Lala. Alaska Avatar, what's up? Dre Allah. Divinely Crafted. Miss Eileen. Jeffrey. Boyd. Sly. Oh, there's a question here. CO. Hi, Rob Blackstone. Please talk about your opinion about the comment and how it impacts us here on the earth. Oh, this is an older comment, but if you are still here, I don't even know what comment this is. Phil Boone, the big nigga on it. What's up, Phil? Shout out to Boone, man. That's my nigga on the trigger. All right. Yeah, I don't know what comment you're talking about. So if you want to expound, if you're still here, you can. Lee Sam, 7578. All right. True to 8. All right. Miss Eileen. I think I got everybody. All right, y'all. Peace, power, and prosperity. Thank you for taking your time with me. All right. And enjoy the rest of your night or morning. Peace.